Hey boys and girls, it's Ken from Vanderwan Gardens. I'm going to post this one in YouTube format because I haven't checked down to YouTube for a long time. But it's January 26th. It's, I don't know, 20 degrees outside or so. Inside here in the greenhouse, it's been a long time, so you guys haven't even seen the building of the greenhouse. For that, go to the Instagram page, same name, Vanderwan Gardens. So you might remember there was a green hoop house. You can see pieces and parts of it here that got blown over by a storm a year or so ago, 2 years ago. And so I decided to build something a little bit more robust. Moved all my hot peppers in here. Gave them a little bit more time. I was able to harvest a few extra peppers because of it. Got my little heat temperature. You know, that thing tells me that it gets up to 100 degrees in here on nice sunny days, no matter what temperature it is outside, as long as it's not wind blowing. But it's been back-to-back freezing cold days, but I still have liquid water in here, so that's pretty cool. So the point of this video today was going to be, I was going to make a solar sand heater thingy bob. Like a sand mass heater thing. So the idea is you get yourself a big old pot, you plug up the bottom, you get something that generates electric heat, you put it in there, you put a temperature controller onto it so that way it doesn't go out of control. Something like this Inkbird that will have that temperature probe that will shut it off if it gets too out of control hot inside the sand. But the sand was left outside. Yeah, that part of this equation is not ready. So because I've got liquid water in here, I figure I'll have thawed out sand in a few days. So another couple experiments. So we had Swiss chard growing in here, kale, lettuce, basically for experimentational purposes. What survives in the cold? So I planted cabbage and parsnip and beets. See, I got some roots coming up, but once the temperature started getting really freezing back, the Brussels sprouts, you can see that they gave it a good old try. Now, who knows? Maybe these things will come to life as soon as March happens. Planted some green beans. I wasn't expecting much out of them. But the star of the show was the turnips. Look at those guys. So I'm keeping these guys watered by bringing in 20 gallons of water from the fish tank every Saturday. I clean out the fish tank, and all of its water comes here. So another couple of cool projects that were on Instagram but not on YouTube yet. So that's a 55, well, that's a big old drum of water. I don't even know how much it is. So that's going to be a drip irrigation system that's going to feed this side. And then I'm going to put another one of those. As soon as my buddy Mike gives me a nice big one, I'll mount another barrel over there, and I'll use that to water this whole side. Oh, yeah, I got some coffee cans and stuff. Just trying to put some, mass in here, some liquid mass that'll absorb water. So I also got some slate and some granite that I spray painted black. That's supposed to absorb the heat during the day and hopefully disperse it during the night. And up here, I had a water pump attached to a car radiator to that fan, because it does get 100 degrees in here during the daytime. I figured I'd heat this water up, and then that water would then, that warm water would then be able to be blown back in here overnight to keep things from freezing. Unfortunately, on the back-to-back freezing nights, that hasn't really been working, you know, and I don't want to destroy the radiator, so I had to bring that inside. You see I've got 2 plugs here. This one goes to my solar array, and that one is house power. So as you can see, I got nothing running off of house power right now. You know, so just the lights are on here. And what's powering that? Oh, those are my empty fish water buckets. Yeah, the deer aren't happy. They come here looking for drinks. So I got 300 watts of solar on the roof. It's coming to this charge controller. Charge controller charges this little 100 amp battery, 100 amp hour battery. That's going to this 2000 watt inverter, and that's what's powering the greenhouse and the light I just turned on. So I know I need to get more batteries in here, but I want to see what happens. Can I use the sun and the battery to keep a certain temperature up on that flower pot full of sand, so that way it doesn't need electricity all night? Like maybe I'll let that sand get up to like 150 degrees, and then it'll just coast down from there, and it'll only need tiny little bits of power to keep going through the night, just to keep things from freezing. Because once again, the whole point of my little greenhouse project isn't to let me turn this guy off. The whole point of the greenhouse project isn't to keep that thing at 60 degrees. It's to keep it, just to keep it from freezing on the coldest days. I was going to skin it with solid materials, but that would have added $4,000 to the project. So this 8mm plastic was only about 120 bucks on Amazon. So I think there's a review. And so this is what the garden looks like. I'm going to have me some asparagus. This will be my 4th year. I got to cut that all back. And as far as I know, 4 of the hives have survived. So I see them out flying around at about 55-degree temperatures, which hasn't been for a few weeks. But I hear it's going to warm up. So in the next week or so. So maybe I'll see the bees, and I'll see who survived and who didn't. So this is Ken from Vanderwan Gardens, signing off as the sun slips below the mountains in northeast Pennsylvania. Like, subscribe, yada, yada, yada.